Well, good morning everyone and welcome to LearningPool's second webinar masterclass in the Adapt Learning series. My name is Lisa McGonigal. I'm delighted to see so many of you joining us online today. I just want to check the audio on this morning's webinar. So you'll see a small orange hand beside your name. If you could just raise that and let me know that you can hear okay. Great stuff. Thanks, Andy. Great, Fiona. Thanks, Helen. Brilliant. Great stuff. So today's webinar will explore how to theme an ADAPT course. And joining me online is LearningPool's Head of Content, Lindsay Code, Instructional Designer, Kevin Doherty, and Content Development Coordinator, Owen Doherty. The session should last approximately 40 minutes. And there will be an opportunity for you to interact with us throughout the webinar. There'll be a couple of quick polls for you to cast your vote, and you'll find down the right-hand side of your control panel both a question box and a chat box. If you just pop your questions in there, Kevin, Owen, and Lindsay will answer them throughout the webinar and also towards the end. So without further ado, I'm just going to pop you off over to Lindsay to kick off. Thank you.
Okay, so as I was saying, this webinar today is part of the season of ADAPT activities. So for those of you that joined us last week at the same time, we were looking at building ADAPT courses. Today we're obviously looking at the theming of them. And then there's going to be another webinar at the same time next week where we'll look at the publishing just to make sure that you kind of know how to publish it correctly to get it running in your learning management systems. Okay. As well as the masterclasses, we also have the ADAPT ebook available to download from learningpool.com. It gives a really good kind of introduction into why scrolling is kind of the way forward with e-learning. There's some really interesting information in there. It's definitely worth having a look if you haven't already. We're also running a number of face-to-face sessions. We're in Leeds on the 3rd of June, and then we're in London on the 10th of June. Sorry, excuse me, and we'll have some of our customers talking to you about how they're using ADAPT. You'll also have us again from the instructional design team looking at kind of how to best design for ADAPT, what the differences are between kind of this new way of presenting e-learning. And we'll also have our graphics team along there kind of showing you how to make your ADAPT e-learning modules look as good as they can. So hopefully you'll be able to join us at some of those. We also, in addition to that, have just updated in the last couple of weeks the Learning Pool Academy with the new ADAPT program. There's new materials on there because obviously ADAPT is ever evolving, so we will be updating that as we go along. So if there's anything that you kind of didn't quite catch from today or you want to find out a bit more about, then there's user guides on there. There's some Captivate files that kind of talk you through how to do particular things, so it's really worth going to have a look at that also. Okay, so ADAPT outputs multi-device content, but it isn't just about the mobile, it's about kind of different learning experience that moves away from the page turning, the kind of classic click next that we've had in e-learning for so long, to a deep scrolling page which is more in line with learners, kind of how they're used to using the internet. The scroll has been around for a very long time and it's something that e-learning's really shied away from, but with ADAPT we embrace it and use it kind of to give a better experience. It gives a really good visual canvas as well. It gives us a lot of flexibility in how we display things, and that's some of the stuff that we'll look at with the theme customization now. Okay, so some of the good things about the ADAPT Builder, one that I know is very much appreciated by a lot of our customers is that it's online, it's hosted by us. So whereas in the past if you wanted to kind of install an updated version, say of our authoring tool or any other of the authoring tools out there, you needed to download it, probably get permission from your IT department to do it and all that kind of thing. We've done away with all that. So it means that what we can do now is as we do updates, we can just push them out to the online version of the ADAPT Builder, and then you get those instantly basically, so they're there ready for you to use as soon as they're ready. The other thing that it does really well is it supports collaboration. When you're within the ADAPT Builder, you can choose to have can choose to whether you want to share your modules with other people within your organisation, and that means that more than one of you can be working on it at the same time. So if there's a couple of you that perhaps aren't based in the same place, you can both be looking at it and having discussions around that to get it as good as it can be. It's also easy to use. We've got over 150 customers using it. A few have had on-site training, but the majority have just used the online training that we provide within the academy. Others have literally just kind of jumped straight in feet first and got on really well with it and just kind of looked back at the user guides to make sure that they're doing things correctly and things like that. So that's really useful. It publishes HTML5 output. That's really what allows it to work across all the browsers. And means that you don't have to think about that. So when you're designing it, you can just expect it to work across the different platforms. Okay. As I said, we are doing ongoing updates and developments. I'm pretty confident that Adapt will be an ongoing kind of authoring tool. It's something that will constantly be being developed. We're already having discussions about the next level of components that we want to look at. So I think most of you probably know by now that Adapt works on components rather than the old templates that we used to have. And you can look at some of the layouts on how that you can move things around into different places and things like that. I think that's pretty much it. We just wanted to give you a bit of background to Adapt, just so you kind of have an understanding of what it's about and things like that. I was hoping to be able to show you an Adapt course, because I don't have control of the screen. I won't be able to do that now. I'm going to hand you over to Kevin, who's going to talk through the theme customization. Kevin, would you be able to, just before you start, kind of show a course and just show which bits of it can change, possibly, if you have that to hand? If not, then I can pick that up at the end. So, okay, well, I'll hand you over now. Thank you, everyone.
That's great, Lindsay. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll pop you over to Kevin. Thanks, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming here. So, just going to share the screen now so you can see. So, we are going to be theming the module that Arlene actually began building last week, which is the Agile Working Course. So, just to give everyone a bit of an idea of how the Agile Working Course currently looks. It's quite plain. It's using the original vanilla screen, vanilla theme that we have on there by default. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to take you through theming it by adding the Learning Pool base theme and setting up some customization on the color and the images that are available there. So the first thing we'll do is just go back to the builder and then click into your Agile Working Course. So if anyone's ever actually changed a theme before, it's very easily done in the global settings by just clicking on the theme picker on the left-hand side of the screen. And you'll see there's three themes available there. There's the vanilla, which is the default, the Learning Pool recommends theme, which is a bit more of a basic theme that only requires 2 images to be changed to set that up. And then there's the Learning Pool base theme, which allows us a higher level of customization across the entire module. So I'll just give you a quick look now of how it looks once we've switched the theme over to the Learning Pool base. You will see that immediately there is quite a noticeable change in how the module appears. The other thing we'll just point out as well is that when we are previewing a module after making any changes to the theme or the theme customization, the preview will take slightly longer to load. That's just why the module does a full rebuild. So as you can see immediately we've changed there. We've got the menu box showing much further down the page in a line, and we've got the the banner with the menu text there at the top. If we click into the page, you'll see it's also changed the layout of how each of those pages appear. So now we've seen how it looks just with the base theme on and no customization. We'll actually go in and start learning how to actually customize the module. So to do that, again, on the global settings, you just click on Theme Customization on the left-hand side. Now there are multiple sections here down on the left-hand side. We have the General, Branding, Fonts, Menu, Background sections. So we're just going to take these one section at a time. So we'll begin with the General section. So in the General section, you'll see we have 5 options available here. We have the primary color, secondary color, tertiary color, foreground, and sector. Each of these are small color pickers that we can just click on to actually set the color. Now we do have a few options available here in how we want to change this. We can modify it just by moving the color around on the color picker. select different colors and different shades. Alternatively, you can use the RGB values, the HSV values, or the HTML code here on the bottom. So what we tend to do is we tend to use the HTML codes, so that's what we'll be doing in this demo. So I'm just going to actually begin by modifying the primary color. Now, what the primary color affects is mainly the main effect on it is the banner that you see on the menu screen. Now that is set to a light blue there. So that's the first main one, and it does affect different sections throughout the course as well, but it will be mainly on the menu screen that you can see that. Now the secondary and tertiary colors are colors that are primarily in there for anyone that wants to create their own theme, so it doesn't have much of an effect on this module, so we will be keeping those set just as they are. The foreground color, we will be keeping it set to white, but it does make a few changes throughout the module. It'll change the color of the text in your menu blocks. The page level progress bar will also be changed by this, as well as the arrows that appear on a narrative component. Again, if you do want to change that, it's just very simple by clicking on the color picker and using any of the available color options on there to change. So the final color on the general screen is the sector color. Now the sector color will change the color of the loading screen that you see between pages, as well as the background colors for the logo and the sector logo that will appear in the top left-hand corner. So I'm just going to set this up now by entering another one of our HTML codes. No, you don't need to do it by the HTML codes, but if you wish, there are multiple tools online that can help you with color palettes and setting those up. So now we've basically set up the general. We've got our primary colors changed, our sector color changed. We're keeping foreground of white and secondary and tertiary unused. So what we'll do is we'll move on to the branding section. So on the branding, it just allows you to add just a little bit of customization that can be seen throughout the module and can represent your organization. So the first field we have on here is the loading course title. Now this is, along with the previous sector color that we changed, that will change the loading screen, this will appear on the loading screen. So for this, we're just going to enter Agile Working, which is the name of our course. That will appear on the middle of the loading screen, and below that we'll also have the loading course subtitle. So as this Agile Working is part of our Learning Pool Recommends catalog, we're just going to enter Learning Pool Recommends in there as well. Now, below that we have the option for the logo. Now I'm just going to pop back to the preview and show you. This is the Learning Pool logo up in the top left-hand corner, and this is automatically appears by default within the actual course. You are free to enter your own custom image if you wish. If you want to do that, you can just use custom image for logo, drop-down menu and setting it to true, and then uploading an asset there using the asset manager. Now we would recommend, if you were doing that, the size for that should be about 60 by 60 pixels. The reason being is that if you put a logo in any larger than that, you'll essentially obscure your home button and prevent users from actually being able to navigate through the course correctly. So as well as the Learning Pool logo in the top left-hand corner, we also have the sector logo, which is just a little logo that can slide out and slide in from the logo. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that to true to enable it. And what we'll do is we're going to pick one of our default options, which will be the Learning Pool Recommends, just to match with the course that we're building. Now again, with that, we're using the default options. You also have the option to use a custom image for your sector logo. Again, it's just a drop down to enable it and set it to true. And then you can just select an asset from the asset manager. Now again, for that, we would recommend a height on the image of about 60 pixels. The width of it is entirely up to you. We kind of go for around 60 by 180, but if you wish, you can have it longer depending on what your requirements are for that. So we've got the branding added in there now. I'm just going to look quickly at the font settings. So within the theme customization, you can actually switch your fonts out. We have the header font up at the top, which will change any of the main title elements. So there'll be the article titles, block titles, and component titles. As you can see, we have 6 options available in there that you can choose from. The body font is quite similar, but it will affect the actual body text within the article, block, or component. We have a few more options available in there than we have in the header font. And just to change them, you just click on the option you'd like to use. Now, we do tend to stick with the Open Sans font because it's what we've been doing for our brand and across the Learning Pool recommends. However, if you want to use a font that's not available in there, it is possible to use a custom font, which can be done just by setting the Use Custom Font option to true, and then you can go to google.com/fonts to pick up a Google font. And if you have custom fonts enabled to true, then it's just a matter of dropping in the title of the font that you want to use in the custom header font or custom body font, and that will automatically pull that from Google for you. So we'll just move from fonts now down to menu. So the menu section edits exactly what it says. It modifies the menu page. The menu instruction text at the top is basically our instruction that will appear above the course. So just to remind you, we have above the blocks, we have the click or tap on the blocks below to find out more. So it's just a bit of an instructional text to advise your users on how to begin using it. It's fully editable and you can add any text you want in there. We would recommend just something short, succinct and easy for the learner to understand when they're actually using it. Below that, we have the option for menu background color. So as you can see on our course at the moment, we're using just the white background color. We do tend to stick to this, however, with some custom themes we have modified it based on an organization's requirements. For this Agile Working, we're going to keep it to white, but what we will do is we're going to add a menu image now to appear up at the top behind our Agile Working banner. So to do that, we have the option for menu top background image. So we've seen this before in adding graphics. It's just a matter of clicking on select an asset, which will take us into the asset manager. Now you can't upload a new asset when doing this, but what we've actually done is we've just loaded this in just for a bit of speed here, just instead of uploading it. So I'm going to add our menu background image now, and then just click on the done button. So as you see, and this is actually a new function we've just added in here as well, you'll actually get a preview of the image you add in, and you will find that this does appear now in all of the graphic components, hot graphics, narratives, everything will give you a bit of an idea of the image you put in there. So it's much easier if you ever have to remove an asset or re-add an asset, you know exactly what you're looking at. So with our menu image now added in, what we'll do is we're actually going to save this to see some of the changes we've made, and then we'll preview the module. We can actually see the menu image on there along with the updated colors we've used for the primary color and the sector color. And then we'll also just take a quick jump into the first page and just like to see how the logo and sector logo work. So it takes a few more moments to be loaded here. Okay, so right away you can see that we have got the menu image appearing in the top half of the screen. We've got our Learning Pool logo in the top left-hand corner and our sector logo popping out from that. And you will notice as we scroll down the page that sector logo will zip in and hide itself. That's just basically to prevent it from obscuring any of the content within the actual module. Now you may notice that on the menu section of the theme customization, we also have the option for menu bottom background image. We choose not to add this in, primarily because the bottom image doesn't take over the full bottom half of the screen. It surrounds the menu blocks here, and it can sometimes look a bit busy when you've got the text coming up about the sections and then having an image on top of that. But it is fully available if you want to add any of those in at any stage. So before we go any further and deal with the backgrounds, background images and background colors throughout the course, I'm just going to hand you over to Lisa here, who has a quick poll.
That's great, Kevin. Thank you very much. So at this stage of the demonstration, thank you, first of all, to everyone who is sending in the question. I had a flood of questions this morning, which is great to see, and people at different stages of their Adapt learning journey. So what we want to ask at the minute is anyone using theme customization already? Maybe using it on a regular basis, you're not yet, but you're looking forward to it. Maybe you have the modules set up, ready to go, but you haven't got to the theming stage, or just simply you're pretty scared of it. So we'll give it another 10 seconds or so. Interesting result here, Kevin and Owen. Okay, thank you everyone who has voted. So we'll just show the results of that. So what we're seeing is 13% are using theme customization on a regular basis, which is great to see. 67 aren't using it yet, but are looking forward to getting their hands on it. 13% also have the modules ready to go, but they're not themed yet. And 8% are scared, but please don't be scared of it. This is why we're having webinars like this, to give you all the guidance you need to know when it comes to building, theming, and publishing your Adapt. And you can always contact your learning consultant or the content development team for any guidance that you need on it. What do you think of those results there, Owen?
Quite surprised, actually, that that as many are using it on a regular basis. It's not been available that long, but it's good to see as well, and also good to see that a lot of people are looking forward to using it, and I guess that's why they're here in this webinar.
Absolutely. Kevin, any thoughts?
My main thought is just for anybody that's scared of using it, I think it's just, it's probably down to the fact there's just so many options and it's so heavily customizable, but I think by demonstrating just exactly how we can apply this, I think hopefully it'll alleviate any of those fears and actually get in the grips with it. I think actually the next part we're going to look at is probably the area that has the most customization on the background, and I think that's probably where people may be finding a few issues and they're just a bit unsure of how to do that. So hopefully this will clear that up for them.
Yeah, sounds good, Kevin. Let's move to we break and answer some of the questions before they all kind of back up. So only someone asking, is there a way to create your own theme?
Well, yes, there is. So what Kevin's demonstrating here is the Learning Pool base theme, but there is you can create your own bespoke theme if you can write CSS or less code. But I appreciate probably not that many people on the call can do that. But if you can't do that, then Learning Pool can do that for you. So you would basically write code to sit on top of the LT base theme, as you can see there. And that will enable it to look and perform as differently as you want, really. We're hoping we'll be able to show some examples later on of different themes, just to give you a better grasp of how the custom code can change it drastically from what you're seeing there to something completely different.
Great stuff. Thanks, and I hope I answered your question, John. And in the same breath, can you customize the blocks on the actual menu?
Part of the same thing, yeah. I think someone was asking, was that going to be on the roadmap? It isn't for now, but the roadmap's under review all the time, so depends on demand. I suppose it's a fluid thing, but it can be done by custom CSS, as mentioned.
Okay. This is quite a common question, and people are asking about collaboration online. So some of the delegates today work with external partners when it comes to creating content. Does Adapt provide the functionality to collaborate with those external partners?
Yes. The way it's set up is each organization has a tenancy within the builder. So as long as you've got a login and you're assigned to a particular tenancy, then you'll be able to see everything within that tenancy. So say, for example, you were part of an organization and you created a course, but there was somebody who was part of another organization. We could set it up so that the person from the other organization can log into your particular tenancy and then see all the courses that you've been working on, so long as you've shared them, and collaborate in that way. Let's move on to another question here as well. That's sort of related to that. Someone asked, does it change the theme for just that user or for the whole organization? So that might be a bit of a common misconception. It actually, whenever you change theme customization, it changes it for the course rather than for the user. So each user that logs in will see the changes that you've made on that course. It's not exclusive to a particular login or a particular organization, but it's related to the course. So what we would recommend in that light is that probably the best thing you can do is just make a copy of any course, really, and just mess around and play around with the different settings and add the classes and stuff, which Kevin will go on to talk about in a little bit, and you can just get used to using it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Owen. We still have quite a heavy list of questions, and we will answer them towards the end of the session. I'm going to pop you back to Kevin. so we can do part 2 of the demo and touch upon some of the areas that our delegates have raised this morning. Thanks, Ken.
No problem. So as I was saying before, the next section we're going to move on to is probably the one that has the most customization on the module, and it's the background section. So this allows us to set colors throughout the course, add background images, change the opacity or transparency of the actual articles, blocks, and components on the course, and then obviously background images that we can add in there as well. So we'll start with the background colors. The background colors, you have 12 different options here available that you can set the color on, again, just using the color picker that we've seen before. So as well as modifying the actual background color that we can apply using a class, the immediate change that setting these colors up will have is that each background color corresponds to a menu block. So background color 1 will automatically change the color block that we see on the menu page. And similarly, background color 2 will change the color for the second block that we see there. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to edit these colors now and set them up as we have done before. Now there is also the option for background color default. And what we use that for is we actually have that in there. We tend to keep it at a white color, and it's used just to break up the content in different sections, similar to how we use the background colors, and we'll demonstrate that with the use of classes later on once we've got everything set up here. So I'm just going to finish setting these colors up for section 1, 2, and 3. Now the one thing I would say, because there was a query that we got through the Academy, is that each of the colors that we use, as much as they affect the specific color block, you can use the background color classes in any page that you want. Now that's something you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when we get these all set up. So basically we've got set up the 4 background color classes for the Agile Working course, and we're just going to scroll down now and show you that as well as setting those, we have a few other options such as text color. Now the way the text color actually works is that it's linked directly to the corresponding background color. So for instance, background color 1 and text color 1 are linked. So if, for instance, you wanted to use a white background, obviously at the moment we have the text set to white. So if you want to use a white background for background color 1, you'll obviously want your text to be seen. So you can just very easily go in and change the color to black, blue, green, red, anything you want. And applying the class will actually modify that article block and component for you. So as the colors we're using are all quite primary colors here, the first 4 you can see, there's no real need for us to change the text color at this stage because any white text will be able to be seen against these backgrounds. So beyond the actual text color, there's also another option down here for element background colors. Now what the element background colors relate to, when you use a background color class on an article, essentially your block and your component automatically pull through a slightly darker shade of that color. Now if you want to use a contrasting color, for instance we have red on the first block on the first page, rather than using red and a darker shade of red, we can set element background colors to true and set up a different color on the element background, so it would be yellow. Now the advantage of that is when you use your class, you'll basically get the red background and then the actual component itself will come through as yellow. Now on this course we're not using different element colors, but I just wanted to point it out that it is available, that you can go in and change those as you wish. And as Owen had mentioned before, going in and playing around with it is quite possibly the best way to get the grips with it and to understand exactly what changes what. So I'm just going to scroll down beyond this section now to opacity. So you may notice that if we actually go into our courses, it's maybe not quite as obvious on the plain blue background, but each of the components have a bit of transparency just to let the image from underneath or the color from underneath pull through as well. So that's something you can change, and based on accessibility options, I know a few people do like to have more solid colors. So the easiest way to change that is you can set your global opacity to 100%, which will just provide you with a fully solid color across every type of article block or component within the course. Alternatively, if you only wanted to make your articles or your blocks or your components change color, you can just go in and modify that as well. It's just a free text field, so you can go in and change the percentage there as you wish. So underneath the opacity, we then have our background images. So if anyone's familiar with any of the courses that we've made available on the catalogue and through the subscribed courses, you will know we use quite a lot of background images on the courses. And again, to actually upload these, it's just a simple matter of selecting an asset and going into the asset manager. And again, I've just got these pages loaded up already. We'll just click on done. And again, we've got the preview coming up of the background image. So it just gives you that greater visibility of what image you've chosen, and you can see that right away on the course. And so I'm just going to choose background for page 3. And that's basically all the background images we're going to add. Now it's a matter of using those classes that we've talked about. And a lot of you will have seen when you're making any courses that there is a class field available in the article block and component. So now that we've actually got these added in, we'll demonstrate the classes. Now, prior to doing that, I'm just going to give you a quick preview of the module so you can see how when we've entered the background colors, how they've affected the menu screen, and we'll see all 3 of the sections displaying the color we've updated it to. So preview should just refresh now in a few moments. Now as standard, you'll see this blue background as well within the pages. So I'll just show you this now. So you can see that those kind of primary, the blue, red, green, those kind of bright colors we added into the background colors. So they come through automatically on the menu blocks, but when we click into a course, you can see by default, or click into a page, you can see by default we just have that plain blue. So what we'll demonstrate now is how you can actually enable those colors to modify each individual page. So if we want the color to come through on the full page, what we'll do is we can just click on the cogwheel for each section and click on edit. So for the color, we want to go scroll down to the settings and go to the classes section, where we can just enter background-color 1. Now by putting that in there, that's informing the actual page to pull the color that we've set up in theme customization. So we're just going to go on, we're just going to change these other 2 pages just very quickly here and save them. And just the 3rd page very quickly as well, just so you can see the 3 of them all pulling that through. So immediately what this is going to do is it's going to strip out that blue background color that we've had on the pages, except for page 1, because we've obviously used the blue. So you can see it's a slightly different shade, but maybe not quite as obvious as section 2 will be, where you can see we've pulled the red through. Now, what's nice having that through, what we also want to do is we want to add some background images to those class fields. So we've set up, obviously, our background image 1, background image 2, and 3. So it's a matter now of actually applying those to the page. Just like the background color, it's a matter of just editing the page and going down to the class where we can enter background image 1. Save. We'll just very quickly do page 2 as well. Now, what you will find is that the background images will automatically apply across the page you've added it to, across all sections, but you will also find that the color we've already set up now appears on each of our articles and our blocks, and it does come through. Now the only thing you may notice is that with the background image coming through quite prominently there, we also have an image on this hot graphic. Now the image is a transparent image, so it does get quite a bit busy with the background going on there. So what we'll do is we'll demonstrate how we can now add the background color 1 class just to this different forms of agile working, which will just help us break up the content just a little bit. So we'll click into our section 1 and we'll go down to the different forms of agile working. Again, we just click on the cogwheel and edit and scroll down to classes, where we can just enter background dash color 1. And we'll click and save and then preview. So we tend to use this quite a lot where we have an image overlaid on top of another image, just to remove that kind of business and make it much clearer. So as you can see, it just breaks up the content where we have the background image up at the top, and we scroll down, focus on our hot graphic, we can go through that, and then as we scroll back down, we come back to the background image itself. So it's quite possible to add different colors in. So we could also use background color 2 on one of these pages if we wished. On page 1, basically, so we could have, let's have the blue background here. Further down, if we wanted, we could add a red background color as well. So I mean, right away you can see once you get the background colors in and the images in, it really transforms the actual look and feel of the module, and it can be quite different. Now, sometimes we will have maybe use the background color 1 and then possibly need to use it again on an article underneath, and that's really where we would find that we use the background color default. So I'm just going to very quickly now, before we wrap up this demonstration, show you how to change this. So on section 2, we're going to change the benefits to use section to background color 2, and then just for a bit of contrast with the red that's going to pull through, we're going to change the narrative concerns of agile working components to background color default, which, if you remember, we've set that to the white, so it just gives us a nice bit of contrast between the two colors that we can use. I'll just preview this now and let you see that. So we just go into section 2. You'll see on the top article we still have our background image. Then on the benefits view, we can see we've got the solid color background. As we move down, we've got the white background, just giving us that nice contrast between the two to kind of keep them separate. So that is something you can keep modifying throughout the course. You can use different background images and colors, just applying them using those class instructions. Now, all those class instructions as well are available on the Academy Theme Customization User Guide. So for any sort of further information, you can get it all from that user guide, as well as just by contacting ourselves if need be.
Kevin, that is brilliant. Thank you very much for that really comprehensive overview of theming and customization with Adapt Builder. We have a massive list of questions to get through, and we'll do our best to answer them live this morning, but we will inevitably run out of time. It is, again, fantastic to see such a high level of interest in the Adapt Builder and the work that LearningPool has been involved in creating it. Any questions that we don't get to, I can assure that we will answer them specifically. And what I'll do is I'll include them all in a learning doc and share with all our delegates this morning, so you can get a flavour of the questions that other attendees have asked that you mightn't have thought of. So Roseanne has asked that their builder doesn't have these options.
Right, okay. This is something that I've noticed before. A couple of our builder users have reported that they haven't seen the theme customization, but if you just go through the support, I think it's just a permissions thing. They should be able to adjust your account so that you will be able to see them, so don't panic. They are there, you just need to phone up, get it sorted. And that goes for anyone else as well that's having the same problem.
And they'll get that support number if you don't have it already on learningpool.com support page. Yeah. Someone's commented the blue link color, which I find sometimes as well, can be slightly difficult to read on the screen.
Yeah, so I noticed that in one of the pages that Kevin demoed there. If you're using a blue background color on the component, then if you've added a hyperlink in, then the automatic color for hyperlinks that people are used to is blue. And it can be hard to read, but you can change the color of the text in the text editor just by going in and highlighting the piece of text that's actually hyperlinked, and then there's a little button just at the top on the text editor where you can change it to another color just to make it a bit more legible. It just works the same way as Microsoft Word. Okay.
In relation to images, Owen, do you supply the images already preloaded on the Asset Manager?
Well, there are a lot of images on the Asset Manager already, so everyone should see a list of courses in their subscribed courses list when they log into the builder. So every image that's in any of those courses are available in the Asset Manager. So as soon as you make a copy of that course and move it over from the subscribed list into your own tenant, it brings over all the assets with it. So even if you only wanted a course because you liked a few of the images in it and wanted to use those, you can just copy the course over and those images will be available to you.
In relation to the browser that you use with Adapt Builder, would you recommend Chrome?
We tend to use Chrome in-house, yeah. That's reason being, it's probably a bit quicker and just it generally performs a bit better than most of the other browsers, we think. And I think someone mentioned on another question about the little zigzag dividers that you sometimes see between articles on courses. These actually only work in Chrome, for example, so that's probably, that's one of the reasons why we use it anyway. And if other people were looking for a recommendation, that's what we would say.
That's good to know. Can you get an immediate preview of customization settings?
Right. Well, you can't at the moment. But I spotted that question and thought it was a good one because it's the sort of feedback we like to hear, really. So whenever you're changing your customization settings, as Kevin was moving through there's a bit of space on the right-hand side, and more than one person had asked, wouldn't it be great if you could see exactly what you were changing in real time without having to go out and then preview and look at it on another window or another tab. So you can't do it at the moment is the short answer, but that's something we could definitely look at. And I'm glad that people are thinking that way.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It just shows that they're thinking deeper about it.
Yeah.
When it comes to background images, should they be a certain size?
Not necessarily, but as long as they're high enough resolution. We tend to use for large menu and background images 2000 by 1400 is the standard size that we use, but it will resize. You can upload something that's smaller than that and it'll resize for you. The theme will do that for you, but if it's not high enough resolution it might become pixelated, so just be aware of that really.
We do have questions in from Paul and Jeff and Adam and Tracy. We will answer those questions, as I said, and send you a separate, and we're just running out of time this morning. I'm going to pass you over to Lindsay to kind of share her thoughts as we conclude the webinar.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Kevin, for going through the demonstration and Owen for answering some of the questions. Kind of just watching as Kevin went through, I mean, I have been using the theme customization for a while, but I think what really came across there is actually how easy it is and how quick it is to kind of amend the base theme that's in there, just the fact that you can change the colors, you can change the logos. One of the questions in the poll was to do with kind of how many people have got courses kind of ready and waiting for this theme customization. I know certainly the customers I've been speaking to, a lot of them have been playing with Adapt for a while, getting modules ready, but this is kind of, I guess, the icing on the cake and making sure that you can make it really work for your organization. I think somebody was asking whether we could give some guidance on how to get the codes for the it may be something that we could add into the Academy as a link to like an HTML color picker or something. I don't know whether we can do that, but certainly we can make it available to you somehow. The way that those work is if you can find a website that's got the color-ons that you want, probably your kind of organization website, then you can just literally, there's like a little picker that you click on it and it will give you that code basically. They're really simple and easy to use. And I think that's about it really, just looking forward to seeing people using it and things like that. So yeah, thanks everyone.
That's great, Lindsay. Thank you very much. So that's it, folks. That's a wrap. Just a few things to make you aware of as a follow-up. A link to the recording of this webinar and any accompanying resources will be hitting your inbox as a follow-up to today's session. The next and final Adapt Masterclass webinar will take place on the 28th of May, and we'll look at how to publish an Adapt Learning course with Owen taking the driving seat on that, so it's a session not to be missed. More information can be found at allthew.learningpool.com/events. And this week actually we've just relaunched the Adapt program on the Learning Pool Academy, which should be of interest to our customers. And I'll also share a link to the Adapt Builder ebook that Lindsay alluded to at the beginning of this morning's session. Don't forget about our flagship event, Learning Pool Live, which is taking place on the 15th of October, where we'll talk about Adapt Learning, Encore, and what's kind of going on in the world of learning technologies, one not to be missed. So there'll be a short survey whenever the webinar closes. It would be so helpful if you could just fill in the few fields that there are, so it helps me kind of shape future learning hours going forward. So that all that remains is to thank you on behalf of Lindsay, Kevin, Owen and myself for joining us today. Thank you. Bye-bye.